Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Budget meeting. First item we're going to do is call Dave Martinez. Give him.
Not for long, like that, and the whole thing that people are doing legal over it, then I mean, we don't I don't disagree with it. We can't take the prosecutor.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 20822206002 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Well, next. He's got a doctor's appointment at 9:30, so that's why we was trying to try him one more time here.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 20822206002 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Dave, we tried to talk to you. You didn't answer. We're going to move to the next group. Thank you. All right, Fair Board. Whoa, whoa, right on that chair.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Rewrite. That was a good catch. Yeah, rewrite.
Go ahead and come on up.
Which page are we on? 43 is where it starts. 42. Yeah, 43. 42 is the third district.
Thanks for seeing us. We're all right with the budget other than a few things, and we need some help on them.
Okay.
And that would be line item. Gosh, I can't read these lines. No, I can't. 408.
We try to make them as small as possible, just to make it.
Yeah, I think they do.
Page 44 on the fair budget.
44.
Okay.
And that's temporary help, right?
The 408 line item, yes.
Took us 6,000, and if we have any, like we're trying to do, and it's working out, promote other events other than the fair down there, we need more help, temporary help. We took it from 20,000 to 6,000. You want to elaborate on that a little bit, Jamie? Or?
No, I'll the one that knows about the help that he needs on
Yeah. Well, we've done a lot of work, and the fairgrounds looks fantastic. I don't know whether you've been down there or not, but we've got a big project coming up this next week after next, so this week. So. And it's coming together.
Saturday.
It's coming together real well.
Good.
We've got PA systems in, we've got the bleachers set, but we have no coverall building over them. And we had $75,000 budgeted for that. We paid down payment to get them ordered. They said they won't be here till next year, but we're still losing, that 50,000 to finish the building, because we're not going to get it done in this year's budget. There's no way we can. I begged and everything. He said, well, good luck. We cannot deliver a building, and nobody can.
Okay, so on the 75,000, you've spent half that. You want to Are you requesting to roll over the other half so that you can finish the project?
So we could finish the project, yeah. And
So that'd be on constant and then just roll it over. So 37.5?
Our balance that we owe on it is 37,860 or 667.50.
So-
38?
And then
Plus
we'll
we've
have
got
to
it erected.
wait and pay somebody to install it. It's a special project. I think it'll be better.
So we just move that into special projects
Or capital reserve.
or capital.
Well, the 38,000 is gonna have to go in for,
Same
it'll
capital.
say that same line 907, so we can put 38,000 in there, because that'll be rollover. And then it's commission decision on how much do you need to put it up, you know?
Well, it's hard, till we get a building and some prints, it's hard to say, you know. When I would imagine you're gonna be looking at 20 grand?
I'm guessing, I don't know, I'm not construction.
I would say
I don't-
25 grand.
Yeah. Correct, because we gotta cement them all in, we gotta do it right, you know. And,
So this is the problem I have is when we do a building or we do anything like this, when we bought part of the building, we didn't bid out or we didn't do anything else on the other part of it. And I've had this discussion under Idaho code, any project that exceeds $10,000 must be stamped, signed, and approved by an engineer and a public works contractor. So you just can't go out and set up a building just because you want to go set up a building. So that was part of the Idaho code that I read last week, is that you got to have a public works person do it. Gone are the days. No, it doesn't matter. State law is very specific. If it's over $10,000, the county engineer will say, is this a matter of health and safety, which this building is, because there's going to be people sitting underneath it. It needs to be stamped by an engineer, and you have to have a public works person install it. This isn't just Saul out there setting it up by himself anymore. Gone are those days, and iCrimp and our insurance will freak out and lose their minds when you do stuff like that. And this is the problem that we've got to get out of, is we're in this, well, we can just go set this up. This isn't an ag building. This doesn't fall under those categories. This is one of those things, when we do buildings like this, when we do anything like this has to go through the process or we're going to get eaten.
not a building.
Yes, this is a building. This is a project. This is a building. This is a project that exceeds $10,000 under state law. It requires an engineer to stamp it, the whole project, just not the steel, the concrete, the installation process. It all has to be done. Because it exceeds $10,000 and it is a matter of health and life safety, it has to go to a public works person. We have to have a person with that license is a public works project license. That's it. That's all there is to it. And that's where we keep getting ourselves in trouble. We have a set of building codes and we have a set of rules that we are supposed to follow, and we as the county are not doing it. And so our insurance company loses their flipping minds over stuff like this. And two, you can't do this, because then we have a set of builders that in our own code it says the county will follow this process. And then we have projects that go on in the county and we demand contractors follow the same process, and we ourselves are not doing it. And so that's where I'm getting, we got to stop this. This is not just a, hey, we're going to do this and we think it might cost us this. When we do projects, a project needs to be a full project package. This is the steel, this is the concrete that's going to hold the steel. This is the engineer that's stamping off on it, so when the building falls over and kills somebody, the engineer is the person that's responsible for it. This is the person that put it up with their public works license and their insurance bond, so when the building falls over and kills somebody, it's this engineer and public works person that's responsible for it, and not the fair board or the county or anyone else. And that's the rules.
So you're saying we need more money?
Well, no, what I'm saying is we probably shouldn't have bought a building until we had the full package done.
So we've got, within repair and maintenance, there's $60,000 in there. You had originally requested 30. What if we moved 25 of that 60 down to capital and then just drop that number to 35? That'll give you the 25 you need, it's already within the budget of dollars.
Yeah, it's probably going to be more than that, to tell you the truth.
Well, then they can use,
By the time you pour footings and do all your stuff, you're probably going to be the rest of the building's going to be 37. You're probably closer to 50.
Fair exhibit?
yeah, no, repair and maintenance, sorry.
Okay.
We moved up to, we bounced. So the page before it.
I'm tracking you now. Because I was gonna ask some questions,
Sorry.
but we're good, we're good.
How much,
If you're talking concrete, rebar, installation, hanging,
No, none of
because
that.
it's a preformed
We're
building,
talking
right?
pillars.
From steel.
I know.
So-
And we're talking pillars that will be engineered, and it won't just be somebody out there doing it. It will be, so concrete costs right now, a yard of concrete's over 150 a yard right now. I mean, we're talking, just to do what you're talking about with current costs right now are up 200% on everything across the board. I mean, you're gonna be probably equal,
461.
you're probably, by the time you pay for the remainder of the building, $37,000, and you're probably gonna talk 15 or 20% increase of what you thought. So if you thought you'd do it for 20, you might be able to do it for 25 or 30 if you're lucky. Probably somewhere in the 30 to 50 is probably my range right now until concrete prices and people come down, because who's gonna pour it?
Well, think about this, if this is being engineered, the building.
Well, who engineered the foundation? Who stamped the foundation? Foundation's required to be stamped.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is it's not, we had to turn them back, we had to get the money to them to get the building ordered.
I know.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I know.
Now the building is being engineered to our specs.
I know, but we
Which
don't
you-
have a set, so what we should have done is we should have went in and said, hey, we need building X built. We need a foundation and we need building, and this is the package. And you go through and you have whoever's going to erect it, your public works contractor, is probably the one that you would say, hey, design and build. And because this exceeds a certain amount of money, this probably should have been a semi-formal bid process as well. Because now by the time we go through the cost of the building, the cost of the materials for the concrete, and cost of to install it, we've exceeded the semi-formal bid limit.
We had bids, we had.
No, this is called a serial bid. You can't do that. We've broken it apart. This is specifically not, this is why we're going to, Jeff will speak to this as well. You can't break a project apart and do it separate so you didn't have to set the whole project out to bid. That's what I'm saying. This whole project should have been set to bid, because all things added together are more than what the semi-formal bid limits are.
Well,
This is what gets us in trouble. We gotta quit doing this. This is where we have to follow the rules. That's all there is to it. I know
If you follow the rules, it's gonna cost more money.
we follow the rules. Just because it costs more money doesn't mean we don't follow the rules.
I agree. It's gonna cost more money,
Uh-huh.
okay? We're in the budget to get more money.
So as it sits right now, Christie, if we carry over 63,000 and then drop down 20,000 from
I would carry the whole thing.
line 02, that would give us 83,000.
how much do you want to, so, I'm not sure we have 63,000 left. We just have 38,000.
Yeah.
Because on line
Oh, yeah.
907,
Yeah, no, sorry, I was adding in what they were projecting for installation costs.
oh, okay.
So,
So we've got 38 there, so you want to take how much from line 461 to 25?
yeah,
Okay.
we got that.
So we'll drop that. We'll drop line item 46102 to 35,000, and we'll move that 25,000 to the building. That'll put us, yes, at 63,000.
Okay.
And then if the bid comes in, or however this is gonna work with getting it erected, you might just have to take that money out of your building maintenance, 46102, cover it. Okay,
So we're taking 25 out of the 30,000 from 46102?
no, there's 60,000 in there.
No, and
Oh,
course,
okay.
You don't have the commission proposed yet.
Oh,
6102, we added 31,000.
So, yeah, we haven't said the commission proposed that yet, so
oh, yeah.
the commission added 30,000 to that, made it 60. So now we're back down to 35, but we're moving 25 down below.
I
So
was
the only,
worried about it when it comes, we've got to be able to be paying for it.
so far we've only added to the budget $38,000, that should be carried forward, so that'll be reversed.
So yeah, you're normally,
So when do you
anticipate, have they given you any idea about when it will be able to be delivered?
He told me
Yeah.
after the first of the year. That's all he'd say. I said, can't you give me something more definite than that? He said, no. And that was with every company we talked to.
Right.
Every
Yeah,
single
sure.
company.
I'm just thinking, the way things are going right now, it might be a year from now that it's delivered, and we can budget erecting it for next
But
fall.
what else can you do?
Yeah, right. So if we can't make it work, we should be able to make it work.
Okay, so that,
So there's the building. And let's go back.
So we put
Where are we?
38 to finish paying for the building.
and it's rollover from last year. or
And then
from
what
this
did we
year.
put for installation? Because installation of a steel building is usually about 2/3 the cost of the steel is usually what it
We
costs.
moved 25,000 from this line up here, that we put 30,000 in.
And if
Correct?
they need- Yeah, and if they need more money.
We'll have to
they'll just
open
hold off.
contingency.
They'll
We'll have to
hold
hold, yeah.
They'll hold off on their other special projects and not do anything big in anticipation of covering it.
Okay.
Unless it doesn't get here.
Well,
That'll be FY23.
he won't give me I
Okay.
called him in our specs and what color we wanted, and wanted to move some doors so that it fits the new bleachers, of which we have 3 bleachers rentals right now, 2 to Fort Hall on the 13th. And the Marsh Valley School District wants to rent them for the one set for the whole football season. So it's working,
Okay.
but we just need to keep going.
Okay, so on your extra help, you have 6,000, what do you need? Start with that and then commission can negotiate from there.
Tell us what you're doing.
Well, I want to tell you that one person is not enough in the program. You know how our facilities run down and down here. They're 1960, 1950 buildings. I'm a Spencer every day on the school and put a new wood and
Band-Aids.
Band-Aids to it. If we want to go forward with this and improve it, one person is not enough. And you all know that one person can do only so much to it. As we go and replace one building at a time and make our programs better, so we can hold more events. As right now, I spend too much time. I can tell you, I spend too much time just patching. As moving sprinklers, because we don't have a sprinkler system, we're moving hoses around. Just in that one, I just spend 2 hours every day just moving the sprinklers. That means 8 hours a week. That is around $4,000 a season. Using that, I think is to make improvements like that, we need that extra help to always help me to put this in order and make them better every year. We can operate like this because it will be patchy. Our buildings don't have foundations. The foundations is a 5-gallon bucket full of concrete. That's only it. If I don't have somebody to stay with me, I following the rules of the state, I am violation of safety too.
I disagree with you there. Tell me what rule you're violating.
The OSHA rules in safety.
No,
Yes,
no.
it has, if something happened to me right there, who's that? Who will call? Tell me, who?
You're not required to have somebody with you when you're working. That's not an OSHA rule. An OSHA rule is going to dictate lockout, tag out, height restrictions, and other stuff. And if we want to play the OSHA game, you guys don't want to play the OSHA game down there because you will not have a fair, because every single act that you do down there violates OSHA. So that's the problem. Don't invoke OSHA, because if you want to invoke OSHA, you can't get on a roof without being tied off. You can't do anything electrical without being tagged out. You can't do. You cannot move a tractor
So
without.
how you want me to do my work?
Well, it's a good thing that.
How you want to do my job?
It's a good thing that government agencies tend to be exempt from OSHA.
So how you want me to do my job if I follow the rule, or if there's nobody there? That's what I'm saying.
So the question is, how much money do you want? What do you need? Give me a number.
What's that?
How much money do you want or need? What are you asking for?
Well, we wanted 20,000, but we're not gonna get that, that's all I.
Well, that's just part of the negotiating. As Christie said, it's time to throw down. So you want
We've
20?
gotta have a,
Christie, how much does it cost us to have a temp employee for 5 months down there at $11 approximately, do you think?
For 5 months?
We have Kenneth down there right now, but he started in May.
6,600 for one person to work 5 months, 120 hours a month.
So if we did 2 people, we can about 14.
yeah.
So
that's
this
what
year to
13
offset,
too.
because we didn't have, we couldn't find anybody that would actually apply to be a temp employee down there, didn't count. We found 3 kids that are from Downey. They're gonna be our temp help for just the fair, but we're paying them through express personnel. We're paying them because they'll cover the work, the 3 aren't 18, but they're experienced with tractor work, that kind of stuff. We have one little gal that's gonna do bathrooms and garbages, and then we have 2 that are gonna have to tractor. But they're farm kids, so.
Do you need 5 months?
We could probably, if we could get one person 5 months, we could probably get away with maybe 3 months for the other one, and just do July, August, and maybe help clean up in September.
So that's 4, so that'd be $10,000.
Even if we could get that, that would help if we had like 1.5 temporary persons, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
A 5 monther and a 2.5 monther.
And that's all good. But it still goes back that we have the ability to generate funds through that fair, and we don't do it. It still comes down to the concert. Sawyer Brown, 2 months later, is in Fort Hall, and they're charging $30 to $50 a ticket. And we go and open the doors for nothing.
Well, that being said, we know that's a problem, and we're trying to get that so we can secure a concert or something like that, but right now, we have no way of securing that, and it's on city property.
The city will do a MOU. We can call the mayor today and work something out. We bought, what, $5,000 worth of temporary fence that's sitting down there. There are ways to do it. And the thing that's again, we're coming back to, we have an area, we don't subsidize the North End concerts with county tax dollars. We pay for those. And if money is paid, it's recouped, and that's how it's done. I have no problem with having a concert down in Downey, but state law says the budget shall be funds that are on hand, anticipated funds that are made, and the county shall make up the rest. Not the county pays for everything. And that's the problem that you have, is we have a $585,000 party going on down there, and $585,000 is not being paid for by the 7,000 people that are in South County.
This is not for the people of South.
Well, I know
County.
that. I know that. But the problem that we have is that it's the entire county that's paying for it. So if we're going to do that, we need to be as responsible with the funds that we're asked to be fiduciary guardians over. The problem that we come back to is we have got to try and generate as much money as we can to help offset the cost of the county.
We are trying that, but we still gotta get it secured. We gotta have somebody to collect the money. I don't wanna
Okay.
be down there collecting the money.
So what are we doing at the rodeo then? So we can have the rodeo and collect money? What do you
We're
do?
having a,
We have one of the district high
yeah,
school radios.
district high school
And
rodeo.
then what do
is-
we do with them funds?
They pay us a flat rate back. I don't know what kind he's negotiated with them, and then they keep the additional for their their 4-H group or district too.
And that's negotiated in a contract?
Fanny does that, so I don't know, I don't even know what group she's using this year. She did District 8 2 years ago.
Hotel, Highland,
Is it that, that's it. And this year we're charging for the costs.
So, and I get that, but like I said, so you have a concert venue that's gonna, and I'm not saying charge $30. I'm saying charge $5. I'm saying charge something to help offset some cost of some labor. You don't have to make it a money tree and pay for the whole fair off of a concert. What I'm saying is try and at least get revenue neutral on it. That's the big thing that we're looking at.
Implemented some things to get money for that. Like we're selling raffle tickets for 2 recliners that were donated at $20 a piece. And that gets you front row seats to Sawyer Brown and the 2 new donated recliners. That's going back in to help pay for the concert.
Were we doing a donation deal at
We're doing a donation box also.
Yeah.
We
But
collected
as far
just
as
under
being able to
$20,000.
have somebody collect money, we're not authorized to collect money for the county.
Well, but neither is the District 8 rodeo. But you guys are doing it. And what's your handling procedures? And has it been approved? And we're giving monies, county monies, and who signed off on that? And where's the procedures? And what I'm saying is again, we have a really expensive party down there. And as we say a lot of times, the county ends at the gap. Well, right now, we represent the county. We've got a ton of people that are pissed because taxes are high. Why are you guys spending money on that? Why are you doing a free concert? Why are you doing that? Why do you have a wellness complex? Why are you doing anything? And these are questions that we're coming back and having to answer. And that's the rules of the game. That's how we play it. But what I'm saying is we need to try and get as revenue neutral as possible.
And we're trying to.
Well, we've been asking for that concert for some kind, that and some other stuff for a couple of years now. We bought a whole bunch of temporary fence last year. I think it was $5,000 worth of temp fence panels. That's what most of the concerts I go to, that's what they use. That's what they did out at the Ice Cube concert out at Fort Hall the other night. I saw the pictures of it. They had temp fence in the parking lot is what they did. I mean, that's an option. Downey's grounds, that's easy. That's a conversation with their mayor. It'll take us 5 seconds. We'll do it. Don't we have a meeting Friday with them? Phone call on Friday. I'm sure the mayor and those guys, I'm sure if we called them today, hey, is it okay if we hold the concert, break this out, can we get an MOU with you? Yeah, probably.
We can't do that.
Yeah, you can.
No, we can't. We can't. It's not advertised as paying. We don't have any tickets set up. We can't do it this year. We
Okay,
cannot do it.
so when are we going to do it? Because we've been
We're
asking for it.
working that way. We're working so we can get an isolated area like the lumberyard property with some restrooms on it, which will be fenced off.
We're not, I'm already telling you right now, I will not spend money to develop that property. That is not ever going to make money back to do that. It would be cheaper just to give you, to have $200,000 and just give you $10,000 for 20 years. That would literally be a better, you do not have the revenue that's going to come back on that. I can't justify to the taxpayers spending that kind of money. I don't know what else to say. I've gotten beat on for over 1,200 hearings over the last 3 years because of how the county's been operated in the budgets that were there. And the taxpayers are pissed. They're to the point, they want things fixed. So we're going to quit doing that.
So this is the same discussion that we have had since I've been here. We talk about this every time. And we keep saying, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And that's why we did buy the fencing last year. I mean, that was our discussion. And so we kind of thought this year we'll be moving forward. We'll be having the fencing around there. I mean, what happens if you move the rodeo 2 other days and use the grandstands right now? You can still, I mean, if you're doing it for the rodeo, you can do it for a concert in there. Everybody else does. We've done it up here. But all I'm saying is, you keep coming and asking for money, and we're not generating any funds. Something's got to change. I think we can find some money to give you a little extra help on that helpline, but we're at the point right now that if the board isn't making decisions to generate funds without spending a lot more money, we're gonna have to decide what's gonna go on with the fair. Do we need two properties in Bannock County that fulfill the same results?
I mean, when I was a commissioner, we've had 2 cows, 12 goats, and 2 horses at the fair up there. Down there, you've got, probably got 5 times that, or 6 to 8 times that. Because that's a county fair. This up here is not a county fair, never will be a county fair.
And I'm not arguing with that part. I'm just saying the county has property. Do we need it in both places? I mean, honestly, if you keep saying, well, that's the city property, and then what are we doing to get those things solved? I just keep hearing the same thing over and over again, and we're not solving any of the problems.
That's why we moved the county fair to Bannock, because the county fair was not up here.
Oh, well, I agree 100%. There's no reason to have 2 county fairs.
I agree.
100%. I agree 100% with you. And I think that that's the ideal location. But we keep doing the same thing year in and year out. We got to change.
And you're never going to build the fairgrounds down there to what is up here. You're never going to have the same level.
That's probably true, because there aren't the people that come down there.
Well, and there's not the events throughout the year. And Downey doesn't have the capacity to absorb the revenue as well. There's not a gas station, well, I mean, there's some gas stations, but there's not a restaurant, there's not a hotel, there's not a this, there's not a that. There is simply not the people and capacity. If you put $100,000 or $500,000 or $1 million in facilities there will never be the capacity to recoup those monies. It just won't happen. And so that's the problem that I have is yes, the stuff that we need to make it nice.
Is
But
there any place in state code that says the state fair or county fairs are to generate money?
so again, in budgeting, what it says is the revenues on hand, the revenues that are expected to be made, and the county shall make up the rest. So it's saying yes. And most of the county fairs in the state, pretty funny, I was talking to Twin Falls and a bunch of other people, they're all ran as enterprise funds. So why are we not ran as an enterprise fund?
Well, the main reason is it's not fenced.
Well,
We're not charging to get in.
but we have enough temporary panels that we could fence it.
Probably-
I mean, guys,
probably not.
this is what I do in the Army. You want me to make it to where you have to close that down? We can close that down and make sure that you're getting in one way in and one way out. That's not hard. And that's the problem that we're running into. The other thing is I drove through last week. I stopped and asked some people that were riding in the arena, hey, where are you guys from? We're from Utah. Oh, did you pay to use the arena? Oh, we just came and used it. Again, we have an issue here of we're just continuing to do the same thing. Just because the fairgrounds are down there doesn't mean it's free for everybody to use. It's not a park that everybody uses. And that's the problem that we have, is we're coming back in budget now every single time, and it's expensive. I mean, first question, 2 of my buddies, I said, you know, you got Sawyer Brown playing at the fair down here. My one buddy's like, oh, I'm probably going to go. My other buddy's like, well, when are you going to have a rock concert down there? Well, it's a fair. Well, so they're having Third Eye Blind playing up there. They had the Offspring play last time. Well, it's a county fair. Well, I'm a taxpayer, is what he said. And that's what we're getting at, is that this has to be everybody included. And if you're going to include everybody, we got to make sure that you're doing something for revenue side. I don't mind coming in and paying monies and going back and taking care of things. I have no problem doing that. Like you said, by the way, counties are exempt from OSHA under federal law, by the way. I don't mind going back in and fixing the buildings that we had. We actually put money in one of the other line items to make sure that we could start doing roofs. And all of those barns need to be fixed. They need to be painted. They need to be done. It's not necessarily meaning that you're the only person doing it, but I'm sure that there's probably roofing contractors and people and other things that start seeing what you can do. It's not meant for you to do it all yourself. But that's what we want to have.
What line item was that for that we put a bunch of repair maintenance? We bumped it to 60 grand.
We took 100,000 off of the
capital, but we
Downey
bumped it in your
lumber
maintenance
area,
line.
and then moved it up 30,000 on the other one. But just to get this moved along, if we go to $15,000 on this temporary help, extra help.
Take 9,000 out of reserves.
Yeah.
Where'd you got?
Okay.
That was a real good, yeah.
That was a gulp.
It'll be plus a little bit of it. As well as if I can add.
That's fine.
So take the 6 to 15?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gives you,
Or bump it up just enough to cover the.
that gives you 2 people.
and stuff, so
You get 1.5 cents in there.
If you do 2 people, that's 13,000.
Also 15 should cover that then.
Oh, it's plus second, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Okay?
Is that it? Gentlemen?
We got the money rolled over for the,
We put 38.5 in for the building, we're gonna roll forward, or 38,000, we're gonna roll forward. And we moved 25,000 from 46102 down, so you're gonna have a total of $63,000 for that building.
And then repair maintenance will be 35.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
thank you.
Dave Martinez just sent me a text that says he's available to answer the phone now.
He was in the doctor.
Yeah.
Too late.
We need to have a very serious conversation about projects.
Starting September 1st, or October 1st.
Like, holy crap.
Your call has been forwarded to an operator. 208-222-0602.
That's strike 3. That
Strike
is
three.
Strike 3.
What number did he tell you? Or he,
That's it,
That's his cell number.
okay. He sent him a message, time to call us.
Do you need to have it in our train mode or something?
There it is.
That would be Dave.
Go ahead and just put it on that phone.
I did. Good.
Strike 3.
I'm gonna put you on speaker, okay?
Hello. Well, I'm struck out. I've called you 3 times.
I apologize, I'm busy being monitored.
We understand. All right. Tell us what your concerns are.
Well, I certainly understand the concern about parity with the prosecutor's office, but where I've got multiple people in those divisions that can do some leadership while they're there. I mean, certainly they're not going to be running the place, but where I've got 5 misdemeanor attorneys and 3 doing juvenile, I'd like to reward those people for their loyalty, longevity, and I would also like to give them some leadership roles. They've done extraordinary jobs, and as you know, right now we're really struggling to hang on to people. The prosecutors have lost a couple. I lost one that I haven't been able to replace, and I'm looking to lose 2 more. So right now, where we're really not competitive, and there are people that I can put in a leadership role and kind of increase their buy-in on public defense. That's something that I'd like to do, and I certainly understand the parity issue, but where the prosecutors, particularly the state, where they're able to do juvenile and misdemeanor with only 1 attorney, obviously they would never need a lead, but as far as like the city goes, the city does have a lead misdemeanor person. So that was the only thing I wanted to discuss. I know that you put a lot of time and energy into the budget, and I certainly am not being a naysayer. I just wanted to express that concern, and that something that I'll be looking to in the future, and if we do I plan on meeting with Ryan from Human Resources to see if we can write out more detailed descriptions. We have had those positions in the past, but they have evaporated, so now that we're the size we are, I'd like to maybe revisit that issue.
Okay. I'll just tell you where I'm at. We did spend a lot of time on this, and we talked about it. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, okay. And also the other end of that is that we're looking at the conflicts and stuff, and so to me, we have quite a few people on that side, and to make things right on both sides, we're going to give the 3.5% this year, and as you talk to Ryan, it'll be a further discussion, and if we change job descriptions and stuff, then it would be more of a lengthy decision. But at this point right now, as far as we are in the budget, I'm happy staying where we're at.
That's fine. I understand. I just wanted to express my concerns, and I know that you've worked hard on this, so I'm not. That's what I expected. I just wanted to be on the record and express those concerns. But I know how hard you work on it, and I certainly appreciate the effort you put into it.
Dave, this is Terrell. Kind of the same thing right now. We worked really hard to make sure we had the 3.5% across the board. The one big thing that we have got to fix is kind of our pay scales as they are with the lawyers, because it's a mess, and we're going to try and fix that this year. And so right now, as I sit kind of to echo Ernie, trying to keep the parity argument out of it, is we figured with the 3.5%, we'll leave it where it is, and we'll address the pay tables this next year, especially specifically for the lawyers. And I would actually like to put them on their own table, because then it would really cause some headaches to go away with that.
I appreciate that, Commissioner. Thank you.
Okay.
And thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak today and putting up with the difficulty it's been to get a hold of me.
You're okay.
Good luck to you.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
That journey.
Let us know if you need anything.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
All right,
sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, Cindy.
Good morning. First, I'd like to say thank you for doing the regrade on the GIS specialist. I appreciate that. And then the GIS tech, I understand that wasn't really discussed, changing that from part-time to full-time. And I thought I'd just reiterate the reasons why I'm asking for it.
What page are we on?
24.
Thank you.
There were a couple of reasons. One is with this CityWorks implementation, there are new departments that will be needing GIS data created and maintained, and any new data requires maintenance, or it's just outdated, and then we don't know if it's right. And I'll just mention the other departments. Facilities, landfill, and event center all have GIS data that needs to be created, and that data will have to be maintained. Then the additional responsibilities of Spillman with the geo-validation upgrade, and the new responsibilities that will come with that geo-validation upgrade include some web mapping that they use for their dispatch people, and for whoever, like the officers, they have computers in their vehicles. Thank you. You know, the things that they drive around. They have maps that can be created now that they did not have the technology to do that with the previous version of Spillman. And so those will have to be updated. When the Spillman data was kept up to date when Kirk was here, In FY19, he spent 283 hours on Spillman updates. That is a little high, I think, and I think we can probably do it a little less, but it's still going to be additional hours on top of the work that we're already doing. So that is, and then the biggest reason is that that part-time position has had 6 turnovers in the 4 years that I've been here. Because it's a part-time position, and we keep training these GIS techs and getting them all trained up, and then they go somewhere else. So somewhere where they can have a full-time position. That's basically the reason that I really would like to see that position full-time.
So I guess my question is, if we won, what's your work schedules out there?
We are still doing 410s, but we are staggering them, so someone is in the office Monday through Friday.
And it's a proven fact that 5/8 is more productive.
Okay.
And then how much time do you spend on other committees, and so you're not able to do your job?
There's the IGCEC, but that's once every other month for a couple hours.
And what I was thinking about was the numbers you run.
Is it Monday?
No, the getting the number of people in this county, the state.
The census.
The population.
Census.
Oh, the census?
Committee.
Well, that's over now.
Yeah, but I mean, but stuff like this that you're on, and you haven't been, it takes you away from your job.
The census was that's a every 10-year thing.
But I'm at the point, then did we need to change the job description on the other position you had, or did we need 2 people at a different job description to fulfill some of these things that you're talking about?
I would yield back. I mean, where are we at in the city works? That's really the discussion then it comes back to, because if that's what we're asking to do all of this, and now this is where this focus of work is coming from, is that, because that's what I see, and I see the Spillman stuff as being some parts of the
I think the
pie.
Spillman will be pretty easy
But
data
it's,
edits.
the city works is what I don't know. That's where it comes down to. Is if your Spillman work, or that's not going to justify it, but I think your city work, is going to be the justifiable factor. Is there enough work to have a full-time position that's there?
In all the places that we've talked to about it, they have a full-time dedicated city works person in the GIS or IT department that handles that, because that comes from not only the software manufacturer, but the other places that we talk to, because there is enough ongoing work with city work, with maintenance, building new reports, new forms, all of that, that it can be justified. And from the very beginning, we've always talked about having that. So if you're talking about this part-time person becoming the GIS the full-time for city works?
Not necessarily. I think
Who would be your go-to city works person?
I'd like the GIS analyst to be the go-to, and so some of the responsibility, like the regular responsibilities, would be shifted down to the other staff.
I thought in our original
that's Heather.
discussion that was going to IT.
We had talked 2 or 3 times back and forth between IT and us, and so I think IT kind of backed off on that a little bit.
I thought IT was more of the setup, or make sure everything was set up, and then GIS was the managing entity.
Yeah, that's where we've been.
And the setup didn't require as much
It
work
wasn't a
as
GIS side, it was a IT, more logins, passwords, all that fun stuff.
And we're kind of on track based on the report you gave me the other day for a
Yes.
September 1 launch, is that right?
I did bring that with me. So tentative, they'd like to do some training late August, early September, and then go live in September.
So, again, you got Heather is your analyst that you,
Yes.
you say will 75% of her time will be,
Yeah, 50 to 75. Mm-hmm.
and so then Jessica, you're trying to move from the part-time to the full-time.
Jess has been promoted to the GIS specialist.
Okay.
The names haven't been updated, that just happened.
Yeah,
So,
that's right, we talked about that.
And so we have open the part-time position right now. Our GIS intern from ISU, our CPI intern, she has expressed an interest in applying it when the GIS tech opens up. And I think she would be a good, we've already been training her. It would be an easy transition to move her into that position. I'm open to maybe not starting it as a full-time position October 1, maybe waiting until she graduates and then transitioning it into a full-time position. So maybe at the first of the year it's part-time, and she is graduating in December. So it wouldn't be for the full fiscal year, it would be for part of the fiscal year, if that's something that would make it an easier change for the commission. Just a thought.
I'm not opposed to looking at it, because I would like to see what the city work workload ends up being
I agree.
before we commit to taking the full, or the part-time to a full-time. So I don't know how we would budget, like a half a year and put an asterisk by it, so that if we don't need it, then we don't use it, which always makes everybody laugh, so.
the narrative will get used.
I think
Yeah.
we do need it, but like I said, I'm open to waiting until, I think that Brianna, our intern, would be a good fit. She has picked up on everything really quick, and she works hard.
Well, and it comes back to that if you're gonna wait part year anyway, why don't we just wait till the next, because then we're in the budgetary cycle. Because then it becomes a point of, if it's something that's justifiable need, then it's a full-time position that's probably gonna be graded and done something with the specific city work person.
And that way you'll know the need.
Well, and
It's really a program you don't know yet,
and-
right?
Correct.
And the other thing is what's gonna happen is we might figure out real quick that what level of technical expertise we're going to need. Because we might be thinking that you're doing it with this level, or, well, in reality, it needs to be the entry level, or it needs to be the senior. Does that make sense?
From the research that we did when we went and talked with the other agencies, it was a higher level of expertise for the city works. But then that regular work that is already being done by the analysts could be shifted down to the specialist and the tech.
And like I said, that's kind of the whole thing that it comes back to is if we're going to wait for 6 months, then you're already into the budgetary cycle, and you're going to probably revamp the department. If there's a need, which I'm not doubting that there probably will be a need, but you will probably have better data, and we can actually go through and rewrite, because you might just set up your city works person specifically. This is their only job description. This is the only thing that they're doing. But
On this one, I think I'm just taking a wait-and-see approach for a year.
well, and that's the whole.
See what the workload.
Because once you let the genie out of the bottle, it's harder to put the genie back in the bottle than it is to do it. And I know she's graduating in January and would love a job, but she might not be the only one that applied for it, as it is. And so what I would say is right now, until we have more data, I hate the government approach of paralysis by analysis, but I think right now, though, the problem is we simply don't have enough. And we don't know if we actually need just a designated city work person. And if we get into it in the middle of the year, and it looks like, yep, we definitely need to have one, you get to have a I told you so. But right now, I'd say hold off until next budgetary cycle. But then knowing that GIS is probably going to have, there's going to have to be a serious discussion in GIS for the reorg of that office.
Good. Anything
Okay.
else?
That was about it. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. All right. Upward and onward.
Do you want to fill in Christie and Jason on the decision you reached at the elected officials meeting about the PIO?
I told Christie already.
Okay.
Okay.
And we've got it in here.
Okay. All right.
So, it's in it, the 40,000 comes up to a grade 10.
Okay.
So,
And that's in the new stuff you handed out?
yes. So, do you want to run through funding prior to today's changes, or how do you want to proceed? Do you want to run through looking at the changes, make sure you're on board with everything we did?
Let's just run through
I think it'll only take a minute to run through if we hit every page, just with the changes on that page, and some won't have any.
Yeah.
It won't take us too long, and we can kind of.
If I miss a few. So, clerk's budget. Give you some stuff there.
Thank you. Go for it.
Clerk's budget, we had the grade changes for the senior admin assistant and recording, the grade change, or the new accountant position, the grade change for the payroll tech, the split with the new position with treasurer and clerk. I'm kind of going through all the changes. And then the management assistant grant coordinator grade change. That was it on A. And then operating, we moved the software support for Tyler to IT. And reduced the Tyler implementation money. That was everything there. Good on that? Assessor's office, change from current year is the splits for the assessor, chief deputy, and management assistant. Did not grant new positions for part-time employees. Did not grant the grade change for the motor vehicle lead. Right, I've got the, oh, sorry. You're keeping me in check. Then yeah, we moved the expenses per the department to appraisal.
You just came to a pause there, so I thought you were.
I was making sure I didn't miss anything else on A.
Don't get a breathe.
Seemed like there was a lot more in A.
Just as a reminder, why did we not move that grade change for the senior
Because
lead?
this was a grade that the individual was at like 2 years ago. Didn't want that grade this year and now wants it again. So it was a flip-flop.
Okay.
And so we were gonna wait and see how it worked for
gonna rest a year.
later.
Okay,
As
I'm
opposed
just
to that.
trying to remember.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it, but I couldn't remember.
No, you're good. Treasurer's office, we added the split position. We did not grant the grade increase for or the step increase for the one employee. We need to review why. And then we got rid of the part-time position because it got absorbed with the floater. The budget, the only change we made was the scanners because she's purchasing those this year with some leftover monies. And we added the IT. Computer check. In the current expense sheriff budget, we put back in the ultimate incarceration from the jail budget. We have $750,000 for the roof for the jail, and we put in $230,000 for immigrant medical. Commission budget, we've got the new public information officer. Is that what you want to call it?
PIO,
yeah. Okay. Grade 10, we did a grade increase for the admin assistant, which we might want to look at that job description. Because currently, probably my recommendation would be to make that a management assistant, whatever the grade 9 has.
Okay.
If that's okay with you. We moved the veterans admin assistant from part-time to full-time. We moved the HR position from part-time to full-time. We need to adjust that job description back to HR analyst.
And I'm sorry, we're moving Christy Devon for to management assistant.
Yeah, we'll look at both of them. We'll look at those job descriptions just to try and create some consistency on the kinds of levels. In my opinion, you don't want a admin assistant that's normally a 7 to be at a 9. So I'll look at those.
So Ruth's old job.
Yes, that one away.
It's a new job?
Yeah, you guys wanted that full-time, and you wanted the label to be HR analyst at a grade 12 at
12, yes, that's what I want to
Yeah.
confirm.
Oh, sorry, I don't have that note in there.
Yeah, we'll add that note to the side. When we change, so we'll clean this up a little bit. We'll give you new copies when we get it all cleaned up. For Christie.
Brian had just talked to me, he said, what's that job gonna be at? I said, well, we've talked about it.
Yeah, he wanted a 12.
Going by your recommendation, he said,
Yep.
okay. But he looked at the clerk's recommendation.
Huh? It's still in me?
I must have missed that one.
Oh,
Good.
well, we'll fix that dollar amount and use reserve so we're not dealing with taxes. Operating budget. Computer supplies, we added per IT's recommendation. I think that was the big thing on that page. Yep, that was the only change for your operating budget.
So while we're talking about IT, Scott actually wanted to keep his computer. Is there a process in?
There should just be a way to
Scott-
flip and change the, yeah.
Go
So
through
he doesn't
there
have to
and then
reload it.
The guy will get a new one, or the
Yeah.
individual?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just take it. You probably have funds this year, so I would say just,
You're done.
what did Guy have for a computer?
He just had a desktop. So
Okay.
I think Scott might want to keep both of them for a while.
Okay. Then it's not gonna be that much, just another computer, I'm sure you've got funds. We can look, I'll make a note to both, but I'm not.
Add them over.
I think we have
we've
enough
got
in
money.
in
That's
this
very
one.
good.
Just come to my mind when we went through IT.
Yeah, he just mentioned that the other day.
And Adam may have money in his budget, go ahead and pay for it, since they're budgeted in his this year, so just get her done.
No wonder we want paper.
Coroner's budget, we moved, he bought the computers this year, so that was taken out. We added file cabinets and cot into operating, and that was the only change in there. We did add from the department request, we added 10,000 for a lease, because he's hoping to get a truck. Depending on who the new coroner is, we'll see if that's still the avenue that the coroner wants to go. There was discussion of if we would be better off just trying to buy one now, depending on the backlog of leases. So, but.
And you did add 2,000 for meals for the
Oh,
officers.
sorry, we did that one too for the same day. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just
No.
wanted to make sure that was noted.
So I was looking at the trucks that you're looking at, 6 or 6.5 foot bed. Is that long enough for a body in the back? I mean,
It might
Got
be.
it measured out.
diagonally.
You need a long bed?
I
You need
did.
long bed.
Yeah, you do need a long.
And you can't, because he tried taking his truck one day, I shouldn't say, it was Corey, tried taking his truck and it wouldn't fit, because he's got a small box, so,
Long bed.
yeah.
You have to have a red flag out the back.
This guy's the.
Okay, that's
box.
funny. Red flag out back.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet, we can go ahead and get through this.
The only change on clerk of the court was, in the court's recommendation, we reduced their travel simply because they get some state funding. money in this report for the rest of the staff. County operations, we added 10,000 for the leadership training. So the capital defense up to 50,000. I think that was based on the letter that we received. The department didn't request the audit money because she didn't know what it was. It's going to be 45,000. We reduced the juvenile facilities to 640,000. That is a little bit of a change from our last discussion, but that was simply because of the raises that we did for juvenile detention. We had to take that up a little bit. Moved the jail monies to R104. Added grant match of 25,000. The funding contribution for the event center went up just a little bit to help pay for city works from the clerk's recommendation. And that was that. County operations, or buildings, we moved the senior custodians to a grade 3, added a senior custodian, moved the part-times to grade 2. Now we did add a full-time position. We had talked about moving a part-time to full-time. Do you want to leave it with an extra full-time and then keep all the part-timers?
Yeah, probably in janitorial, yeah.
Okay. We just need to get rid of that note that says make full-time. Yep. On that line.
On top of that.
Since we kind of added it. That was kind of a mix-up on our part, so Jeff can take this. But it funded, so. We added computer supplies for the recommendation. We added the city works to software. And then that's it on that page. Moved heating for the planning and zoning building into this budget from planning's budget. And then we got rid of the capital by attritioning over the repeat. Now, did we miss adding? No, where did we end last week on adding the grounds and vacating the road? Wait, that's up here, right? Remember that conversation?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. We might have missed that. Make it. Look at my notes from last week. I don't have that we made a decision on that.
I thought we did when we were talking about the sprinkler system and the whole bit.
Did because I had something on vacate 6. Because remember you were giving me crap about saying vacation. Yes, did we put that in quote?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, we didn't mess up yet.
Okay.
Not yet, she says.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we have like 3 times, but not big ones.
Well,
Just comment.
There's lots of little things, so. No changes to contingency, we just left it at 300. For ag extension, we increased computer supplies for IT. And that's it for that. IT's budget, we have Adam in here 100%. We moved John in here from 911. And we got rid of the PC tech from the original request. On operating, We put the computer supplies in the individual departments. Added the software support for NovaTime and also for the Esri license.
And the Tyler.
I'm not Tyler, sorry. Thank you. We added, oh no, that was just a move from capital. We moved up to 815 for property acquisition for the controlled access door and the server maintenance extensions.
You never get rid of those pickups.
The black ones, no.
I just see, now using more quick.
Should probably option it in the, just sitting there, I think.
Smells like an ashtray, but that's okay. You probably have enough you'll probably have enough nicotine to
hold it together.
Seasonal probation, the FY21 change, getting rid of, attritioning out the clinical director who left to a full-time probation officer and a part-time coordinator was the only change to this budget. No changes to juvenile programs, JCA, or to the tobacco one. Planning and zoning, no changes to A, added computer supplies, increased for city works, just in case. And then if they don't need it, they won't spend it until the next year. Let me make a note on the city works that it's $3,000 on the side for us. That way we know if they're not going to spend it, why. We took the heat out, put it into IT, took out the surveyor contract services, and also took out the stormwater management for input in the engineer's budget. Next page is null and void, because it's a trust now. Special projects, no change to A. Well, no change to anything. Sheriff, we added the allocation amount in case that position gets a grade increase. But it's in a separate line to be determined if it will be used. Probation, no changes to A. Added computer supplies for IT's recommendation. That is it. They do have replaced camera system in here. Again, if they move, that won't get used. Unless they move it over there. GIS. The specialist is at a grade 10. And we took out the Esri $55,000 put in IT's budget. That's it for the general fund.
Getting pretty quick.
Road and Bridge, Public Works Director was moved to a grade 18 with a 50% split with landfill. The Assistant Public Works is 75% with Road and Bridge, 25% with landfill. They did attrition a equipment operator, or a mechanic to an equipment operator. That was done during the year of 21. And their overtime was moved back to the level of FY21. Operating, we added computer supplies for IT. Their operating supplies roads was adjusted down to fit. It's a random dollar amount just so that it fits within the levy that you requested. Next page, fuel was adjusted down. Fuel rebill was adjusted down. And, road oil was adjusted down by 100,000. And that was it. Kyle was okay with most of those. He will offset, if he needs more fuel money, he'll offset that with his road oil. Because he should know by, they don't start spending the road oil until about June, July maybe. Engineer's budget, he was not given the engineer tech position. And that was it. That's road and bridge. Sheriff's office, we added the evidence tech at a grade 9 market because that will most likely be a promotion from within. Added one patrol deputy. That's budgeted at a step 1. Actually, that's probably not going to be needed. It'll probably be at minimum because they have to pass post and be in a position a year. But next page, we adjusted 207K a little bit due to the COLA, and we added overtime money for the wellness complex. That's matching nothing on the other side. Computer supplies was adjusted a little bit for IT's recommendation. Some of the other adjustments in here are just because of the new health position, so that attrition through some of the items. We did add 25,000 to 435, which is communications. That's in anticipation of needing to spend money for 911. Will you add that note? Put 25K 911. 20, 911, it's going to cost 20. Just making sure. Check that now. Alright. Adjusted down patrol fuel just based on usage. And took out the property acquisition request because they are buying that this fiscal year. Prosecutor, we added a prosecuting attorney, entry level. And then added computer supplies for IT. We added 10,000 for purple, since that's not been budgeted for. And we added, they added money for the new attorney. We should change that note to only one attorney on their dues. And then we moved the trial court expenses into this budget, and we adjusted their Westlaw Lexus interest for the licenses that they have to start paying for. The jail didn't have any adjustments other than due to all the openings, they're budgeted for grade 9 step 1 because of passing post, they get that step 1. So anticipation of that since we've got to cover it. And again, we adjusted 207K. Doesn't look like we adjusted 207K, but we did for the COLA. It was inflated from the department request because they had 6 extra deputies. Once we took that out and we tweaked it a little bit, that's that dollar amount. Computer supplies we added for IT's recommendation. We took out a handful of expenses in here because they didn't get the they chose not to accept the 6 deputies. And then we moved the alternate incarceration to the general fund budget. we reduced the repairs and maintenance building. We moved part of that to Hilt and then also, took the roof out. The indigent medical was put into the general fund portion. We reduced indigent supplies by 5,000, or jail supplies by 5,000 because we're buying it this year. The department didn't know the commissary amount to put in there, so I did that. That's a revenue match. Property acquisitions was bought in FY21. And that's the jail. Ambulance, we left for the request of the department. District Court, we added a department in the clerk's recommendation to move security and court marshals to 0602, so that's the change in A budget. B budget, we moved the appropriate expenses associated with court marshals and security. We added an IT request for computers. And we added some Westlaw, LexisNexis. Part of that's Westlaw, part of it's what we paid for the judges. And then we took out the juvenile remodel request and moved it to the trust. Court martial security is just mostly what was requested in the department budget. We did put the repeat in here from Jeff's budget and also the weapons scanning from Jeff's budget in capital. That's district court. Fair district is set. Fair maintenance, we just made the change on line 46102 to go to 35,000, not 60. And then we had done some other adjustments. We took down their temp workers to 7,000. Bouncing back up top, their special projects, we cut that down just to the sheet. Okay, let me start back to the top. So on the 35,000, we want us to add a note in there and put existing building maintenance. Do you want a note in there of some sort to try to provide some direction, or do you want to wait until October when the budget is set and you can sit down with them and tell them what your expectations are?
Probably, I don't care if we have an explanation on this, and I want them to kind of come forward and give us, what do they want, not what.
So put existing building, you can put maintenance upgrades, see what you can put in there. Just to give some communication, even if it's just within this. Okay, now it's bouncing back down. We took out the 50 for special projects, just gave them a sheet farm request, and then reduced their temp workers by 3,000, and took out all of the capital with the exception of a 907. We're going to roll over 63. Well, roll over 38,000, but the 25 from above for a total of 63,000. Good on that one. Their exhibit, we're putting 15,000 in the 408 extra help line item. That will change benefits, but not, maybe 10 or 12% depending on what the workers' comp rate is. And then no other changes to operating.
So just curiosity, how are they gonna track Jamie from being, never mind.
She's we put her in 40801 intentionally
Yeah.
to separate out her money versus everybody else. So,
Okay.
we'll do her sign approval form, putting her in that line, just for everything. And that 7,000 is the maintenance budget, and that's why they're gonna pay for their, temp workers that she was talking about like today. So. Normally, we don't have a budget in the maintenance budget, because the maintenance budget should be buildings, operations, not. County fair, we reduced that in the awards by 5,000. We reduced the promotion and advertising by 4,000. And the rodeo by 5,000. And the security by 200. 4-H, we did not change anything other than I added the 4-H operating supplies, which is that outside checkbook, and matches revenue.
We added that too.
My bad, and we added a payout for our employees that could potentially go at any time. Health district is a given, can't do anything there. Historical, we moved the roof to PILT, and we added the historical. Indigent, we changed from this current year. We took out the floater position that's now between clerk and treasurer. And that's it. Direct assistance, we went with the department's request because of too much unknown. We'll see how that works. She did take a cut from this year. Public defenders, did not grant the grade increases, did not grant new position requests. That's A. We added computer supplies for IT. We reduced down operating supplies by, actually reduced office supplies and operating down a couple thousand. Reduced down education a couple thousand. Most of those changes were due to the fact that they didn't have any positions. Increased conflict attorneys to 372. Because that's what I had anticipated that we were going to need to pay this year, because we have part of it funded elsewhere. I'm not sure that we need that, but we also adjusted Westlaw, LexisNexis, and we took out their murder trial money. Through discussions, we determined that that was mostly paid by district court or other sources, so it was a duplicate. And then we took out the capital outlay because we
did computers so that
okay.
Kind of got
So
moved up
up.
and adjusted to IT recommendation.
Perfect. Non-medical court order public defenders, we left that as is for the department request. Junior college, we have 50,000 in there, that thing, we just don't know. Depends on how many people go CSI and junior college and elsewhere, but the Idaho Falls one, so we figured out that impact. Event center, these are all changes that occurred in FY21 for the new positions, and then extra help is at 40 and overtime is at 10. Those were all discussed with Scott, and he's good with those. Operating, again, we discussed with Scott, a lot were unknowns. He used the FY20 budget to set his numbers. We put most of them back to the FY21 numbers. He was good with that. We did add CityWorks in here. We reduced fuel a little bit. He was a little concerned about that, but he'll make it work. And we reduced special projects, only because we moved 48,000 to waterways. because it's going to be for the pond, or the reservoir. The rest is the same. And then the concessions, we just put in 200,000 with the anticipation that that would match revenue. Still don't have a great feel for that, so hopefully this year, well, 22, we'll get there. Appraisal, huh?
I think that would go out local and the stuff, it seems like it's starting to become pretty routine now for them. Seems like they got all their reporting requirements and all the concession stuff. I think they've started to get it figured out.
Good.
And so I think that this year we should probably have a lot better data for next year.
Even if we have a couple months worth, that'll be helpful.
Yep.
I haven't even had a chance to look at any of that, so hopefully when budget's done, I'll dig in and see where we're at with those. Appraisal, we've got the splits with the assessor, chief deputy, and management assistant. We didn't make any grade changes. Are those just what they're currently at?
We reduced from,
I'm looking at the appraisal assistants.
yeah, because they were new hires, so instead of being
You know what, let's take those out.
Okay.
That's confusing to me. It looks like they got a grade change.
No, they were just new hires, so they got
So they're
reduced from the previous year.
We did change the appraisal trainees and budgeted those at a certified appraiser, just because that will happen mid-year. Operating, we reduced travel, put it in its own line, never mind. We split those out for transparency again. And then took out Marshall and Swift, and Nita was good with that because it's being basically as core logic paid out of 424. The 50,000 industrial, that should be one time, but that's where they might need help this year with that being year 5. And the capital stuff was a duplicate, it's already included above. So, there's a reduction, but not really. Landfill, you've got the split of the public works and assistant public works director, grade change on the public works director. We adjusted the extra help and overtime within the clerk's recommendation, and we kept that. Operating, we adjusted the computer supplies to include the IT recommendation. City Works was already included. And then we added 38,000 for professional fees for the 5-year emissions test that needs to be included. Gas system. We took a couple things down, I think, because of, I thought we did.
Just that you will additive and
Okay. So not much change here.
And then the admin fee.
Yeah, that was. Admin fee fluctuates with expenses, so. I print, those are the quotes that Ryan got, so we will with those. Veterans, took out the education because that's not a building expense. And took out the petty cash plus it's included above. Noxious weed, we split this the supervisor 50-50 with the mosquito district. And We left the operating other than the IT recommendation. That's a computer that'll be split between mosquito and noxious. We left the operating to see what the new supervisor would do with it. Mosquito, again, 50/50 with the supervisor. And we left everything else the same so that the supervisor could.
Please put in that allocation amount as per the tax.
Oh, thank you. So line 40705, that'll be that, to be determined at the bottom, what you want to do with them. Okay, Carol?
No, I'm trying not to have a migraine.
Make sure my ibuprofen quit. I only have about 8 of those things left.
I've taken enough ibuprofen this morning. My kidneys are
Gonna go to failure.
my kidneys are starting to question their ability to process ibuprofen this morning.
Till we,
Real quick, Veterans Building. I just wanted you to add a note on their special projects. The reason that we bumped that to 69 was for the brick repair of the building.
Right.
Because I'm sick and tired of them saying, we're gonna fix the front of the building, and they keep saying that over and over, and then they're like, we don't have any money. I'm like, the money's right there.
so building space?
Brick repair, building base, external repair, some
Perfect.
kind of note that just says why that $69,000 is
You
there.
got it. Good call.
Because when they don't do
Especially
it,
with the change in leadership.
yep, then I can,
Yep. Okay, till we have under building repairs for the jail, 145 for the AC and CPOD showers, and then the miscellaneous ARPA projects. And then we added, what?
Wait, sorry, we had just mentioned,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm
We
not
still don't
seeing
have
it.
that in here, so we still miss putting the vacation of 6th Street.
I made that note, but where did I make that note?
I'm trying to see where I made that note. Since we're lacking on that, do any of you individuals have that for us?
what the total amount was?
No, we're,
Yeah. What were we gonna put?
We were gonna put, but we were talking about sprinklers, concrete, sidewalks and stuff that way. I thought it was
That
50 or 60
It was
grand.
the
something.
60,000 that he had requested.
Yeah, I think it was 60, and that's what it was for, was the vacation, the concrete, the
Sprinkler,
sprinkler system,
landscaping.
I might
landscaping.
not have that anywhere. We talked about it. I always have scribbles. So where would you like to see that?
I just put that pilt. That's right.
Use in pilt?
I think that would be the best place to put it. Because then if it's not funded, I mean, we'll try and get to it, but there might be a change or.
And then I'll go through page by page on my clerk recommendation, which is where I have all my notes. See if it's already there. Sorry.
we talked about it.
And then we also have the 130,000 for historical growth. And PILT. And of course, on PILT, that'll be reserves, using that, so that shouldn't change. Anything snowmobile. We kept the request for, giving Keller a raise. And then we added $500 for PPE and gloves. We moved the miscellaneous up to operating, so that it's a little more transparent on what we're spending the money on. Whereas in the past, that miscellaneous was supposed to be a 12 number.
Yep.
Waterways, we're at 25,000, hopefully earmarked for the event center Rose Concert.
What think we have left in there to expend before the end of this year?
In waterways?
Yeah, you guys. We've already said it says 15, so I think there's 10 left.
Scott had, no.
5 left?
As of this day, I don't think we spent anything.
Oh, that was last year,
Yeah,
sorry.
that was last year. Scott had an invoice, I think, to start the water stuff.
Okay, yeah,
I'll
that's
check on that.
supposed to be for that.
Yeah.
Additional fill line, okay, which they're supposed to be doing right now.
And he was about 10,000, and then
Materials was
Materials.
about 8 or 10. Yeah,
Just
it's
have
like
to
18
that's
total.
it. If we've got any left.
Yeah, they already cut in the T, and they're taking a big giant hose and is what they're putting in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's figured out.
We put that in capital acquisition trust. I found it. Sorry.
Okay, leave it there. Sounds good.
So we'll take it back out of Phil.
Yeah, yeah.
I know we talked about it.
I was like, I made that.
How much?
Well, we did 400, we budgeted the whole 430.
But 60 of that was for this?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but I made a note, just out of that budgeted amount is where we would do all of these projects.
But I will check on waterways, and then if we've got some extra money that's going to need spent, if he doesn't have an invoice for us, then he can just do a donation to one of the other counties to get the dollar amount off. That's kind of a housekeeping item that we usually do August-ish. Just make sure it's that and but those checks are easy to cut if we have to. So, 911, we took out all of the salaries. And then we added, for leased equipment, $130,000 for consoles, assuming we do the big console upgrade. And finance that through Motorola.
Yeah.
And then we added $100,000 for the maintenance for Motorola. And that was it. And all of that was in conjunction with Adam. GD detention, we did grade increases for everyone except the director. The management assistant went up 1 grade. We're going to have to change her. I would recommend changing her job title because that is normally a grade rank. So in order to not have management assistants on 2 different lines within the kinds of levels, it might be less confusing. That position went up 1 grade, and all the others went up 2.
I didn't adjust it.
We need to adjust it.
Yep.
On call was adjusted up due to the grade changes, so you can take that note, put that note back on. And then also, 217 had to be adjusted for that increase also. And again, that's why your contribution is and then the only other change on operating was the admin fee. The next page shows D6. There's no changes on this one. That's a grant. That'll be absorbed within the bottom. So I'm still waiting to get the funding from Teresa to get that worked out, and then we'll report back to you guys before that's put in place.
I'm sticking.
Well, it's a grant, so it falls under the.
No, I'm just saying if they don't come back and have that fee, then they don't get their raises. They got to do their part.
Trust. So we, capital acquisitions, there's only 430 in cash, not the 800. Maybe add the dollar amount where it says 6th Street vacant, put 60K. In an ideal world, when we get ready to set, when we get ready to start the new year, if we could have a breakdown of what that 430 would be, kind of like what we do with the grants, that would provide a little more transparency.
I think right now, I don't know if there's many projects that are slated on it, to tell you the truth. I think it's just kind of the bathrooms get everything. Yeah. Because originally, I thought there was, that, you know, just by Dan, because nobody would bid on it, I think it saved us like 200 grand just on the tile alone.
But when we, you know, get ready to start those projects in the bathrooms, then just do the hearing and say this is what we're going to do, and then I can assign out dollar amounts to fill that, other than the 60 that's in there. Health insurance, we're at 7.2, 2.5 range, and most of these are just revenue matching. So it's just giving me a more budget authority to spend money. Lottery trust, that 20,000 is coming out. That's going to close out that trust. It won't have any more cash unless somebody wins big. I'm gonna put it back in there and start it up again.
Can we
I'll
all-
do my best.
Come on. You need to do your civic duty and go buy some lottery tickets.
You have to do it soon though.
Right.
Juvenile workshop is Matt's juvenile probation operating budget. That's revenue match. The mailroom, that's money in, money out, basically, from departments to run that. The event center trust, you've got the 4th of July budget of $100,000, concerts at $250, and movies in the park at $10. And then we should also, if he decides to do, like concert creation test, I don't know if we would need to do that again this year. We did it last year, but that's because.
We did it last year, and it was very successful.
Yeah.
So we don't have a budget in here for this.
Actually, last year it helped us. Bought most candy.
So it was just opening that.
Except I went and bought a lot more.
Well, we'll see how it goes with that. And then we can always reattrition some money from something to make that happen. Donation trust, the daycare, that's when people have jury duty and they don't want the money, so they just kick the money into here, and that helps pay for people that need to pay for daycare. Through the courts, then we've got the fair, and, once upon a time we had the rodeo, but I think that's closed out. And we've got court monitoring trust, drug seizure, balance tough, there's money in there, but we don't know how much you're gonna get. Court facilities, 41,000, domestic violence, 20,000, then revenue matching. Courthouse dog, that's just to get that last little bit of money spent. I don't know how prosecutors will spend that. Worst case, they could just give Pamela that much money for dog food.
Yep.
She doesn't ask for it. So, but it'd be nice to get that one closed out. Felony drug DUI alumni fund, that's just money sitting in there from problem solving court stuff. Public administrator, that is for.
So, the name on that one. DUI alumni?
So it's people that have graduated from DUI court, and, yep, yeah.
Okay.
That's what they call them. Is it funny?
Public administrator, that is the little youth plates, and the sheriff's office is in charge of that money, and they give it to juvenile probation, so that when we do once-a-year fishing trips, that pays for the cost of that. Money has to be used for at-risk use. Judicial conference, nothing. Centennial, nothing. That is it. Funding side, that's gonna change a touch with the changes that we've made. But per your request, we are at, the highest of 3 years and about 1.5% for the county property taxes. Road and bridge, I stayed within those guidelines. Ambulance, we used everything, and abatement, we used what did we use? I don't even remember what we talked about. Well, the number that I had written down is what you told me to use. That's what I did. I think it was the highest of 3 years and 3%. If you look on the next page, I got final values late Thursday. So if you look at the second page that has all the levies, that's the projected levy without having final operating values. So our projected levy with the property taxes being used will be $507.89 per taxable $100,000 for all 4 levies. Combined levies. Compared to without the governor's money, it was $542. Nobody's gonna acknowledge that, but somehow maybe during the public hearing, we can put something together that will show the levy with the governor's money, without what it should have been, without that money, and then what it is now,
Well,
so that you can try to.
Last year's levy was 542. That's the levy was, but then we had governor's money, because it wasn't the way they had to have, we had to show it, was that it was shown as a
So.
buy down basically. is what-
Right, so the taxpayers only saw
Yeah.
the 454.
Well, I mean, it was on their tax stub, as it showed governor's money payout, because we had to do that per the
Doesn't
governor.
look at that.
But no, it's gonna
Don't
be.
worry. But we can, I think we can put something together
Yeah.
to push that message
Mhm.
so that it shows that you did take it down compared to this year,
Yep.
what it could have been. So, on your front page, it gives you estimated current values for assessments on the top of this. Those are the values, the highlighted ones. Again, just estimated operating value.
Okay.
Because I won't put that until we set revenue.
Yep.
So, we will go back, make those adjustments to 1209 and 1210. And that's all we got.
Okay.
We good?
Yep.
Very good, very, very good.
We will get you new sheets, so don't necessarily stick those in your binder yet.
Okay.
Unless you don't want to. Do you want new books
I would just get a budget book when it's,
after it's all done?
yeah, when it,
Okay,
or,
so,
but for like hearing purposes,
I think we're good right
I think
now.
we've got,
okay.
I mean, with the notes that we have on this one, you just give us.
yeah, I don't think we need to kill another tree.
Okay, so that'll be what you bring to the public hearing.
Yep.
We'll go ahead and put everything together for the public hearing and get that published. Budget's done.
Good job, everybody.
Yep.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Will you let Christie know to cancel all of those other meetings?
We'll do that. I don't know, she might not allow it.
Hey, she told me
Just take
that,
two of you, one for backup.
she tells me you guys are